Hello, everyone. I'm Kacy Kostuk, the Director of Communications at Childhood Education International, and I'm here with our CEO, Diane Whitehead. Diane has dedicated her career to issues that affect the lives of children and families. She specializes in children's education, nonprofit leadership, management, strategic direction setting, and program development. At Childhood Education International, we work to support the development, education, and learning of children. Peace and peace education are very important to us, so thank you for inviting us to discuss this important topic. Diane, why are you so concerned with peace, and why is it important in our world today?
Yeah, it's a great question, Kacy. This concern goes pretty deep, I think, for all of us. Um, and I want to thank the Global Peace Education Network for actually giving us this opportunity today. So thank you so much for having us with you. You know, as we all know, our world is just increasingly unstable and insecure, and all kinds of terrible things happening: war, conflict, bullying, harassment, intimidation, and oppression of many, many forms, aggressive and destructive behaviors, all on the rise. If we really care about our human survival, then we must understand better, like how we can really nurture peace, and especially at very young ages. We need to start when children are very, very, very young. So, of course, much of this is done through education programs, which are critically important, and we continue to advocate for peace education to be a part of the curriculum of all schools. But what about that earliest start of life? We must also recognize that when babies come into the world with their own peaceful natures, this is where the roots of peace actually begin. And babies can provide us with really that very best example of that pure human state.
So today we're looking forward to talking with you and delving a little more in depth into the question about the roots of peace education in very early life. So I'm going to share my screen here and we'll share some images as we discuss this topic. So Diane, how can parents support a peaceful pregnancy for their baby?
Yeah, babies, you know, if they really come to us sort of imprinted for peacefulness, when pre-birth experience for mothers are calm and as stress-free as possible. So if mothers are stressed during pregnancy, you know, we know a lot about this. It's stress hormones that can transfer through the placenta to the baby, and that can create changes that we now know could lead to later attention disorders, other mental health, or health conditions in children. This is why it's really particularly important that pregnant mothers have access to supportive environments where they feel calm, safe, and secure. This can be particularly important, challenging in situations where mothers experience poverty, right? We know this. There are life circumstances that are going to make it challenging for mothers to have calm and completely stress-free pregnancies: poverty, discrimination, war and conflict, violence, displacement, and other types of emergency situations. So societies really need to do more. We've all got to do more to protect and support expectant mothers, because the experiences they have during this time can lead to lifelong impacts on their children. There are also things that expectant parents can do, mothers and fathers can do together, and they can create a peaceful and loving womb experience and support their child's physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Forming what I call a love bond with the unborn child really helps to support that optimal brain development and enhances the child's overall development, physical development, emotional development, etc. Even during stressful times, which again, we know happen in life, some more severe than others, but even during those stressful moments, parents can help their baby to thrive by doing some very simple things. For instance, we know that babies can hear sounds. They can hear when they're inside the womb, and they can feel movement when they're inside the womb before they're born, right? They're responding to external stimuli. So, as parents, there's a number of things that we can do while they're in the womb. Um, some of them you may know about. We've heard a little bit about them from time to time. People are talking a lot about this now. But just reading to the baby, take a book, read to your baby. They can hear your voice. And again, this is for mothers and fathers. Talk to them, sing to them, play sort of gentle, melodious music to them, soothe them, and soothing the baby by gently touching that mother's growing belly, right? Both parents, moms often rub their bellies, but for fathers too, to give that gentle touch to those developing babies. Since the stress of both parents can actually impact the environment for these developing babies, both mothers and fathers can sort of use meditation methods, other forms of stress relieving exercises to ensure that they're in a calm and relaxed state during the pregnancy. Parent child interaction pre birth can have a lasting impact on the development of the child and how babies interact and experience the world around them after birth as well. So, babies who enter the world essentially with this sense of comfort, this sense of love and trust, are better able to then be kind and empathetic towards each other, which strengthens this idea of this roots of peace, which I love that concept, the roots of peace.
Absolutely. And Diane, once babies are born, how do babies experience love? Does love help support a peaceful nature?
Yeah, babies, even pre-birth, they can feel this association, sort of the sensations that we associate with love. Um, uh, Once they're born and they learn to understand love when we hold them close, right? When we hold them close, we love them. Babies are beautiful. We love them. We want to hold them close. We want to feed them, care for them. And even when they just see our smiling faces, um, they're reacting, right? They're feeling that sense of love emanating towards them. So once born, babies experience love as comfort from human touch, connections, interactions with us, which provides the baby with these immense feelings of satisfaction, right? Something which we actually could call the beginnings of love or the roots of love, right? All these things that parents do soothe that baby and comfort that baby, and those acts of love that we do naturally as parents towards our baby, it generates this growing sort of sense of love response in the baby. They start to learn about love. And love, after we know, we know this, right? Love, it's the foundation of peace.
So, how can we create a peaceful environment for the baby once they are born and enter the world?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. Keep in mind that even though babies can't speak, um, we can communicate with them by observing their body, observing their facial expressions, and listening to their babblings and their cries to ensure that we're responding right to those needs. We can continue to respond to them and to nurture this innate peaceful nature, ensuring that they feel safe and loved throughout their childhood in this world. Communities can really, really step up and help here. Communities can support families, ensuring that parents are able to spend time bonding with their child after birth, and that young children can have those supportive types of networks, care networks, that community around them, those networks of families. This is so important that we surround that child with care and with love. Supportive early childhood development opportunities can really help babies and young children learn about love and satisfaction and experience peace.
Are there other traits of infants that help support their peaceful nature?
Yeah, there are. It's interesting. I, babies come into this world very accepting, right? Very peaceful, very loving, and they're not born with any kind of innate biases to particular groups of people. They see people as people. They will, of course, develop preferences, right, for certain people, the people who care for them and feed them and protect them. But these are preferences, they're not prejudices. They learn their prejudices, sadly, from us, the adults in their lives. If we truly want to create a more peaceful coexistence in this world, perhaps we really need to be looking at and listening to our babies. They come into this world, they don't have any prejudices. Um, let's look to them for our example.
Absolutely. I've also heard that babies are intelligent. If so, how is this related to the peaceful nature of babies?
Yeah, it's really, really, really interesting. It's true. Babies are actually born with intelligence, right? And it's called universal intelligence. And it's sort of this wisdom or this knowledge that they come into this world with. It's really, really fascinating, and I hope that all of you listening today will delve into this a little bit more because it's something that has always interested me. That we think about babies as coming into the world as sort of what we sort of think of as blank slates, right? They're just here for us to sort of imprint ourselves onto them. But that's not true. They're born with universal intelligence. They have knowledge. These are intelligent beings, and that's very important for us to understand. One aspect of this is that these research studies that have been done by Yale University Child Development Lab, along with the Yale University Infant Cognition Center, these were done quite some time ago, and hopefully their work has continued to grow and develop. But one of the really interesting studies that I remember it just struck me was studies that they did with young babies, not just born, but several months old, where they set up scenarios where they were showing the baby they used puppets and they were showing them sort of good and right and wrong kind of actions between these puppets, right and wrong behaviors. And the babies were responding. They seemed to have a preference for the characters who were doing the right thing. And that's quite amazing when you think about it, that a baby can have knowledge of right and wrong. And it shows us that they actually have sort of this sense of morality, right? And that's just incredible. So this has enormous implications, right, for us as parents and caregivers and teachers and communities, that we need to nurture these little babies' innate intelligence. They are very, very special beings.
So, how does knowing about the very earliest years of life and the nature of babies, as we've been talking about, how does that help us build a more peaceful world?
Yeah, and here's where we come to the whole connection, right, of what we're talking about this morning. Babies are born in sort of this peaceful state, open to love, and learning about love. They're naturally peaceful beings. They're born into this world as intelligent beings. They have this foundational sense of right and wrong, and a growing awareness, right? As we've said, of love. If babies are already sort of primed, what we call sort of primed for peace, then expectant parents and others, family members and others, can support this by really trying to give them peaceful and tranquil pre-birth experiences, birth experiences that are as serene as is possible, and early childhood experiences that also emphasize sort of the love, right? The foundation of love is there for them to grow and for us to nurture them, and ensuring that they really continue um, from us, right? Our kindness and our gentleness, right? Towards them. Again, peace and love are interdependent, and they're foundational to the development of other kinds of unique human traits, such as compassion and empathy. And that's what we're really looking for, right? Peace relies on all these things: love, compassion, empathy, if we really want peace to grow in this world.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us today, Diane?
Yeah, nurturing our babies is a huge responsibility. It must be shared. We've got to recognize that, right? This is a shared responsibility from all of us, including governments, the private sector, the profit sector, the wider community. Parents need support so that they have the livelihood, the security, the safety, right? The medical care that they need, the health care that they need, the consistency in their lives to create these best environments for their babies to grow and develop. We must be innovative in creating community-based programs that serve the needs of parents and babies and young children, and create policies that require governments and communities to fund and support these programs. It's the right of every child to be loved, right? Every child should be loved. If our desire is to create this more peaceful world, then we must look at our babies, both their inherent nature that they're born with, and how we can continue to nurture peace and love in their lives so they grow up to be sensitive, compassionate, loving human beings in a more harmonious world. That's what our goal is. That's what we're looking to do.
Absolutely. And thank you, Diane, for the opportunity to talk a little bit about peace and peace education in the earliest years. As we are recognizing International Day of Peace, we at Childhood Education International want to thank the Global Peace Education Network for organizing this event and for sharing information about teaching peace. And we want to call on everyone to be a part of building a peaceful future together.
Thank you, Kacy. And again, I really appreciate this opportunity. We all have the responsibility to nurture these roots of peace. All of us must work together to prioritize the well-being of babies who will grow into tomorrow's community members and leaders and world leaders. Babies are really special. Babies are beautiful from the inside out. Thank you so much. And thank you for having us again, Global Peace Education Network.